Good morning. Welcome to Community Unitarian Universalist Church here in Plano, Texas. My name is Reverend Dr. Aija Duelm. I am the minister of this congregation. My pronouns are she and her, and I am so glad to see you here this morning. Thank you for joining us in person or joining us online for worship. We strive to be an inclusive congregation that welcomes all of your identities, complexities, situations. We welcome the whole self, whether it is not even fully assembled yet, because we recognize that we are all work in progress. We're all learning and growing and seeking to understand ourselves in this beautiful but complicated world. This journey that we call life sometimes brings us joys and sometimes brings us concerns and sorrows and struggles. And when our inner light, we struggle sometimes to keep it burning. Holidays in particular have the ability to bring out grief, to bring out loneliness that we live with, and make this time more difficult. So today, we have come together to share what we have with one another, to offer support and hopefully share the light that we carry so that we can help light each other's inner flame and keep it burning a little bit more brighter if possible. This gathering is here as a reminder that we are here for each other through this holiday season and beyond. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your journey, I'm glad you are here. Our call to worship comes from Gwen Matthews' words, "You contain the holy." Whoever you are, wherever you are from, whomever you love, whatever it is that you have done, you are welcome here. You are welcome to this time, this space, this moment that we carve out of often busy and chaotic weeks. You are welcome to this time for collective breath, for words, for music, for lighting candles, and for us to simply exist here together. And you are invited into worship this morning with these words from Ta-Nehisi Coates. "I believed and still do that our bodies are ourselves, that my soul is the voltage conducted through neurons and nerves, and that my spirit is my flesh. Our bodies are ourselves. My soul is the voltage conducted through neurons and nerves, and my spirit is my flesh." Wow, okay, yes. Yes to all of that. The essence that is you, that spark of life, is in your body, is of your body, and it is. You are divine. In other words, you contain the holy within you right now. And now, I invite you to take a breath as we enter into this time of worship in body, mind, and spirit. And let us worship together. We will begin by lighting our chalice.
Our chalice is a symbol of both the heritage of our past and the light of hope within this church today. Steve Mason, who's our chalice lighter, will be reading words by Melanie Davis.
If ever there were a time for a candle in the darkness, this would be it. Using a spark of hope, kindle the flame of love, ignite the light of peace, and feed the flame of justice.
On the second week of Advent, the waiting time in the Christian calendar, when we begin to anticipate the celebration of the birth of Jesus, we light a candle of peace with this prayer, which recalls the Christian roots of our Unitarian Universalist faith.
Maker of the universe, whose being is in all things, both in the day and the night, eternal, teach us to seek peace. Help us to find that which brings calm to our breath and compassion to our hearts, and show the way toward a loving and peaceful world.
Help us to light the way towards justice, to be a candle in the window, a star in the night sky, a way to find the path that leads us to the ways of peace.
In the true belief that someday this world can become a beloved community that holds us all in care, that's in which belief we light this candle of peace. And we will light the candle from the first week of Advent as well.
A covenant is the promise that we make with one another about the way we will talk together as a community and as a congregation. Please join me in reminding ourselves of this precious promise.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and freedom, and to help one another.
So the holiday season is here. Christmas music, decorated trees, even Santas are ready to cheer us everywhere we go. The season's movies with Grinch and Scrooge are on the screens. The lights are sparkling from every other house in my neighborhood, at least. This is the season for lights and ornaments and candles and for several religious and cultural holidays. Today we celebrate Buddhists celebrate, not we celebrate, a holiday known as a Bodhi Day. And if you recognize this tree, that's a Bodhi tree. It's not a Christmas tree. This is the day, today is the day when Buddha sat beneath the tree until he achieved enlightenment. Some Buddhists string colored lights onto a ficus tree in representation of the many paths that can lead to enlightenment. Candles are sometimes placed in front of the statues of Buddha, and Buddhists perform good works and services for others. It is also a day when the followers can rededicate themselves to enlightenment and compassion and kindness in the Buddhist tradition. Then later in the season, we have solstice, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, New Year, each with their sets of lights. While we crave the warmth and the light of our candles and lamps, there's also a symbolic meaning for light. It symbolizes hope, possibilities for new life, for a future that promises to overcome the current struggles. Why is light such a prominent symbol for this time of the year? As we think about it, the season that we usually call the most wonderful time of the year may not be so wonderful for all. Not all things for all people are good and joyful. The American Psychological Association poll results show that the adults in the United States feel overwhelmed during the holidays. Nearly 9 in 10, which is 89%, say that was last year's survey, 23, end of the 23, that concerns such as not having enough money, missing loved ones, and anticipating family conflict cause them stress during this time of the year. About 64% of people who are living with mental health concerns report that the holidays make their conditions worse. One study concluded that one of the most relevant factors in Christmas depressions is the individual's belief in the myth that everyone else is having a good time and engaging in loving family relationships. Clearly a wish, but not necessarily a fact. Surely, the Christmas blues can be a thing. There can be a grief over the death of a loved one that arises afresh during the holidays when we notice the person is not among us. Every holiday has a potential to be that reminder of loss and absence. So the season is complicated with grief, loneliness, and struggles that we live with. We know that depression is a terrible illness, and sometimes it is fatal. Loneliness is painful. Addiction is heartbreaking. Homelessness is horrifying. Hunger, illness, grief are all difficult and make it hard to keep that inner light burning. Earlier, I mentioned two movie characters, Grinch and Mr. Scrooge. They both undergo a wonderful transformation at the end of the movie. But I wonder how many of us identify with these characters before that transformation happens. Like Grinch. Grinch, who didn't have the ability to empathize with others. He preferred to be alone. And then he did some rather mean things too. And if we look back at the whole story and how Grinch grew up, we may see some things that might explain his behavior. He was bullied as a child for being different. He was an orphan who longed to have a family, but the void of love resulted in his sense of loneliness, isolation from the world, and hatred for Christmas. Because what he saw as a child was that everyone else came together with their families, but he did not. And this childhood trauma led to his grumpy and mischievous behavior. At the very end of the movie, when Grinch finally is able to connect with someone, and it took a little girl to be able to do that, he admits, "It wasn't Christmas I hated, it was being alone." Ebenezer Scrooge, who we see as misanthropic, greedy, and standoffish, also had a difficult childhood. When the ghosts of Christmas past show up, Scrooge has visions of his early life where he is in a boarding school, and he would remain there for Christmas alone while his schoolmates returned home to their families. His father was abusive and neglectful of him. His sister was allowed to come to take him home only once throughout all that time. Scrooge is a lonely man. Love and pain are inseparably linked, and Scrooge's wish to shut out even the most loving people becomes kind of understandable in this light of his childhood story. He represses those memories in order to cope with the pain that they caused him. And it is not until Scrooge weeps for his childhood self that allows himself to be vulnerable, and then he can express compassion towards others. It is not necessary to have a difficult childhood to experience pain, and that Grinch and Scrooge lived with. Life brings us many such moments when grief fills us, when we experience loneliness or miss someone very dear to us. When the everyday struggles press us down and take out all the joy and energy from us. We do our best, but sometimes what we need is a helping hand, a supportive shoulder, and for someone to be there for us, to help our candle lit. The reading today, it is actually a song by Chris Rice, so it's what you heard was more a poem. And it says, "Frustrated brother, see how he's tried to light his own candle some other way. See how now your sister, she's been robbed and lied to, still holds a candle without a flame. So carry your candle. Run to the darkness, seek out the lonely, the tired and worn, and hold out your candle for all to see. Take your candle and go light your world." If your candle is burning bright, you are fortunate. And I hope you can see and appreciate that light. And know that there are others who need you and need your light. If you can, if you will, hold out your candle and light up your world. Our ancestors knew that keeping the flame alive was essential to life. We who inherited these traditions can keep the flame alive by caring for each other and sharing love with one another. May we be among those who hold out our candles to all who are lonely and hurting and tired and worn. May we be willing to hold out our candles and allow others to light them, to keep our flame burning and make sure that it doesn't go out.